Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the Musical Connections podcast. I am your host, Zach Snow, and this is the show where we connect the music of Newfoundland and Labrador with the world. Well, we continue our road to the East Coast Music Awards with a nominee for Fans' Choice Entertainer of the Year. Now, when I had him on the show last year, his band Fairgale was up for Rock Artist of the Year at the ECMAs, which ended up losing to Good Dear Good. I mean, honestly, they should have won, in my personal opinion. But I digress there. Everyone's talented on the East Coast. But this guy is one of the best vocalists that our province has to offer. Joining me right now is one of the nominees for Fans' Choice Entertainer of the Year, my man, Andrew Rodgers. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How's it going, Zach?
I am fantastic. And
Great.
I really mean that. You're one of the best vocalists we have here on the island.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. So you're up for an ECMA this year. 7 out of 11 ECMA nominees this year for Fans' Choice Entertainer of the Year are from this province, and you're one of them. So how does it feel to be up for an ECMA as a solo artist this year?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, the solo album is the first one for me. You always apply for all the awards. You just take it as it comes, and it was nice to be nominated for sure. And when you look at the depth of the talent in that category, it's just nice to be sitting there at that table. So yeah, it feels good for sure.
Yeah, and how excited are you to have it here in St. John's for the first time in 10 years?
It's great because we missed, I guess, it tends to cycle through the provinces, and the last time around, I guess, the pandemic, I hate to even talk about that again, but
me too.
Yeah, we missed it, so I guess it's been about 10 years, I suppose. So it's nice not to have to foot the bill at the expense of traveling to the other provinces,
right,
and so on. So that's a nice perk for sure.
Absolutely. And you almost didn't make it to the ECMAs last year because it was one of those days, I think it was May. I had a flight delay myself because that Monday leading up to the actual conference, power went out, and then we ended up missing our flight by 2 minutes. And with the fog that day, there was like a plane that flew off the tarmac,
right,
and that delayed a lot of the planes by hours, and you guys almost didn't make it.
Yeah, that seemed to be like the story of the ECMAs last year, or at least something that kept coming up. But yeah, I actually forgot that until you just mentioned it. The plane overshot the runway, which is obviously a little, is a priority, I suppose, after getting a few musicians to a gig or whatnot. But yeah, we almost didn't make it, but somehow we ended up on a plane. Through the Minister of Tourism, I believe, made some phone calls, I think, and we ended up in PEI on time, which was nice because obviously that's a time of year when you get to meet people and potentially expand your network and find opportunities. So that was great. Yeah.
Oh yes, and how was there a sense of relief then that you're like, okay, we can now showcase here, and it was definitely worth it because you guys killed it at your showcase. I believe it was that Friday or Saturday night, I think.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I just always find just the gathering of creative people and stuff just kind of in one place, and just music happening with such abundance in every corner, everywhere you turn. It's just fun and exciting to be around. I mean, above and beyond, I'll say, the awards and everything else, just the atmosphere. And, like you mentioned earlier, having it here in St. John's this year will be a fun and exciting time to have it on home turf,
And you won't have to fly to another province to get there.
Yeah, it'll be everybody else's problem this time.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens.
But it is sure to be an amazing time. And the award, of course, is from the work that you've done on your solo album, which came out back in July. It was called Let It Out. That's right. Now, it is your first effort as a solo artist. You've played in Fairgale for about 10 years and Reckless Hearts for about 5 or 6 of those years. Tell me a little bit about the making of your solo record, Let It Out.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of focus more on the singer-songwriter approach. I do spend a lot of time sitting around the house at the kitchen table or the couch working on songs. And oftentimes the setting you write songs in, at least for me, tends to sort of mold to the if you pick up an electric guitar, I guess what I'm trying to say, you might tend to lean more into the rock world, whereas if you pick up the acoustic guitar, you naturally sift into maybe more singer-songwriter. So I had a bunch of tunes that maybe don't really match or line up with what we've been doing in Fairgale. So I just wanted an outlet to put that out there and to continue to just, I don't know, I'm just creative person, and I love to write songs, and I, just wanted, again, another avenue to get that out there.
So what's your approach to writing songs?
Yeah, there's no one approach. I guess generally it depends. In recent times, I've written songs about all sorts of things. Sometimes I sit down with the guitar and I just come up with a melody that sounds cool, and I stumble onto a phrase, and maybe it becomes a title, and then I have something to feed into. I tend to write songs that are authentic or genuine to me and my experience, whether it's me directly or people around me or something, something like that. Or, I've also written songs recently about, so I read a biography for Wilfred Grenfell recently, and I was just kind of blown away by how the book described his first visit to the coast of Labrador and just the absolute poverty or destitution that the people were living in at that time, just pre-1900. And I was just kind of blown away by that. And typically if I encounter something that makes me feel a certain way like that, those things tend to stick with me for days, weeks, and they often become songs. Now, whether or not the song becomes or is written to the quality that I'll actually release is to be determined. I try not to focus on that too much. But so I guess to go back to the question, a song can sort of come from anywhere, and I think just living life and putting yourself out there and experiencing life and traveling and meeting people and reading books, doing whatever, is I don't know where it's going to come from, but so I just try to write things that feel right and have an impact on me, and I aim to do it in the most authentic or genuine way that I possibly can, and I guess I'm the only person that can know and understand that, and so. I don't know if that creates more questions or answers the question.
But like at the end of the day, when it comes to creating the best song you can, it's got to come from your heart, and it come from the heart means reliving those experiences that made you want to put that to paper and really put it out to the public.
Right, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head much better than I did. But I try to. I think what an audience connects with ultimately is, if you can really truly put yourself and your experience and your emotions into a song and then into the performance, it's believable. You know what I mean? Whereas if you just kind of write about just random abstract nothing, I'm not trying to suggest that I have the best philosophy on how to write songs. I think you should do whatever you want to do, when and how you want to do it.
Absolutely.
This is what works for me. You know what I mean? So I'm just always looking for something else that catches my attention or sticks with me, or, and those things tend to become songs.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I want to talk about one of those songs that was on the album, but it was originally first on Nick Earle's album. We're talking quite a bit about him already, and we're talking about him later as well, because you are a rhythm guitarist and sometimes lead guitarist with the Reckless Hearts. It's Downtown, and that ended up on your album, Let It Out, as well. It talks about your experiences playing downtown, and you mentioned some names like George Jones, Elvis Presley, Liza Minnelli, Tom Jones, and just talking about the experience of, playing downtown. So tell me a little bit about Downtown.
Yeah, so the song, I guess to give a little more backstory for the people who know, pretty well nothing about me. I grew up in a small town, Hant's Harbour, Trinity Bay. Moved to St. John's, coming to St. John's from even though it's a small city, by almost any standard, coming from a real small town in Newfoundland is still a major jump to move into a city. I ended up eventually living downtown. I was immersed, I suppose, in a world or a universe that I didn't really fully understand until I lived it. Just the way that some of the people around me were living their lives, I guess. And I just, again, to go back to what I said earlier about how certain things affect me, like I guess specifically, like I was in I guess what you'd call a bit of a rough neighborhood, I suppose, without beating around the bush here. And I was watching a lot of people who, I guess living in subpar conditions, and there are a lot of sex workers around me, and I was just observing this universe again. It was like we're living in the same space, but we're not really living in the same world somehow. And I just sat down, and I guess I poured out what I was feeling on paper somehow. And obviously it gets edited into the song, today. But I was actually a little nervous by putting that song in. I don't know if I've really said that to anyone. I do tend to gravitate towards sometimes darker subjects, even though the thing about the song Downtown is I knew that the subject was heavy and the lyrics are a little dark for sure, but the lyrics are sung to a major key, which makes it feel uplifting, which contrasts the message of the song, I suppose. And I don't know, I feel like I'm maybe going on about this one a little bit, but it's like, yeah, this song is, for whatever reason, this one seems to connect with people. But I approach it the same way I do with any song. And the reason Nick recorded it was he heard me play it and he really liked it. This was really early on, which gave me confidence to be like, okay, maybe I'm kind of onto something here, you know? So he released it, and to me, that's the greatest compliment as a songwriter. You know, myself and Nick are really good friends. I respect him as a musician, as a person. So for him to take it and want to record it is the ultimate compliment as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you're looking for a great songwriter to write one of your songs, Andrew's your guy.
Maybe.
But the comparison I keep going back to when it comes to putting out "Let It Out" is Tom Petty when he left the Heartbreakers and he released "Full Moon Fever," and you and I were talking about this off air, how Jeff Lynne was a big influence on him too, because both Tom and Jeff were playing the Traveling Wilburys, and he really embraced a lot of that heartland rock sound, which kind of sounds a bit like what you're going for on "Let It Out." But tell me a little bit more about the inspirations and influences that you draw from to make this record.
Well, I guess you mentioned Tom Petty. I'm not sure exactly on the timeline between the Traveling Wilburys and when Tom Petty put out solo stuff. But in terms of influence from, I guess, well-known artists, yeah, I'm a big Tom Petty fan. I love Tom Petty. I still think maybe the greatest concert it's probably number one. Is watching Tom Petty at my own, even though I was sitting behind the stage. Some may argue the worst seats in the house, but it's just amazing. I just love how he writes songs. I love how it's presented. I feel like it's honest. I feel like it's genuine. Again, like I mentioned earlier, about how at least I try to approach music. And to me, that's that influences me greatly. I'm also influenced by like Bruce Springsteen. I like that kind of stuff. It's I don't think we choose what impacts us or why. It just does or doesn't. And whatever it is about that type of like Americana rock, I don't even know what genre. We try to label everything, I guess, for convenience, but
yeah.
I just like it. I don't know. But you're right by saying Tom Petty. Tom Petty is a big influence on me for sure.
Yes. Yeah. You bring up a good point there, like, putting like a label on, like, say, a piece of music that you created and say, hey, this is somewhat influenced by Tom Petty. This is influenced by Bruce Springsteen. And for me, I put that as a label myself. If, say, I want to present it to like another, if I want to like play it on my shows, or maybe present it to another radio promoter that wants to play this on their station, or a concert promoter, say, hey, this guy has influences of such and such.
Yeah.
But if you like it, that's the only thing that really matters, because you're making music for yourself and not for other people.
Right. And to piggyback off that point, I definitely agree with, I don't know if you're familiar with Rick Rubin at all, but I see him on social media a lot in the last couple of years. And I guess sometimes you come across things, sometimes you almost need someone to say something that you already know for it to really be driven home. So I definitely think that the Rick Rubin approach of the audience comes last is kind of how I approach it, and the reason I think that, because I know that might sound counterproductive or counterintuitive to people. If you're thinking about what people are going to like, then you're naturally going to maybe not do what you would do. I don't know if I'm going on a tangent again here, but
it's okay. This is what this is for.
Sure. I almost try to write music as if I'm in a concrete box under the ocean somewhere, where there's the potential that no one's ever going to hear this, which, let's face it, there's real potential. So under those conditions, what would I write? And I had to constantly, I think we all do as artists, push back against the voices of, I suppose, conformity or what you think the audience is going to want to hear. People don't know what they want to hear, man. They hear it and they like it or they don't. And I think, I think we all deal with that a little bit, but I constantly have to remind myself of that for sure. Always ask yourself why you're doing something. For me, that's what I always do. I'm not trying to project my ideas and philosophy on anybody else. That's what that's what works for me. Anyway, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it's all good. Like
Yeah.
that's an interesting point. You bring up Rick Rubin. He's one of the greatest producers of the new millennium. He pretty much took Johnny Cash's career from obscurity and pretty much made him a legend again with the American series recordings.
Yeah.
And that was a good comparison there because like thinking of the audience last, because it puts that point of view again of like you got to make music that you're happy with. Because if you're thinking about that first of like, are they going to be happy with this instead of making yourself happy with it? Then, you know what I mean though? Like it's not going to work.
Right. I think that if it resonates, I don't think any of us are completely individualistic enough that what impacts you doesn't impact anyone else. So if I write a song that I genuinely feel something from, I believe that other people will. But if they do, if they don't, is really irrelevant. That's not control what you can control, and I can control to write about what impacts me on an emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If people like it, that's great. I ultimately would like people to like it, and for there to be more opportunities for me to play music and travel and so on and so forth. But
yes.
I don't think that you should think about it.
No, absolutely. But like, we could talk about this all day.
I know, yeah, for sure.
But like, I do want to get to, how this all started for you because, of course, you grew up in Hants Harbour, same place you and Brad Tuck grew up. Yeah. And you talk about how in downtown where you moved from a small town of Hants Harbour to the big city of St. John's. It's like a giant shift for you. It's not until you live downtown that you really experience what downtown is like. So going back to those Hants Harbour days of growing up as a young boy, like wanting to pursue music, how did it all start?
So yeah, I moved to Hants Harbour in grade 2. I moved around a fair bit as a young kid, and I ended up in Hants Harbour in grade 2 because my dad's parents were living there, and that's where they're originally from. So Hants Harbour is a town of about 350-ish people, maybe. So I had friends growing up. Brad Tuck was one of those friends that I met pretty early on, and we bonded over hockey night in Canada. We're both Leafs fans. We used to have sleepovers and this kind of stuff as young kids. Boo boo, I know, right? What a way to split the room. But
right.
So we became good friends over hockey, and ultimately, I guess the first time I played electric guitar was on Brad's couch during one of those nights, and he showed me the chord E minor. And I went home and asked my parents for an electric guitar for Christmas, and that was a moment that I guess kickstarted. I always loved music, and I always wanted to play guitar, but certain things in your life happen that I guess become catalysts, and that was definitely one of those moments for sure.
Like a Kickstarter to this whole musical journey.
Right. Yeah, and I had people in my family. My grandfather played music, and my uncles were in cover bands, and I kind of lived vicariously a little bit through them, I suppose. And I always would hear these grandiose stories of my uncles out playing in bars, and in my mind, I was like, that's the craziest, coolest thing ever. So I always had this mental image, I suppose, of me wanting to do that thing. But yeah, meeting someone like Brad, and also Gary's from Winterton, the next town up, and we've been playing together since I'm 35, so since I was about 15. So we've been playing together for about 20 years, which is cool to be able to still play with your buddies that you play with when you were teenagers. And you get to do some of the cool things that we've done,
For sure. Now, let's talk about your grandfather again for a minute, because you posted on Instagram and Facebook a couple years ago how you found your grandfather's old guitar. It was very beat up. It was worn out, and you took it to Chris Kiersey, and he fixed it all up for you. And on your Andrew Rodgers Facebook page and your Instagram as well, there's a photo of you right with the downtown in the background with that guitar. So tell me a little bit more about that guitar and what it took to fix it.
Yeah. So I knew my grandfather used to tell me about a guitar he had. He passed away in 2013. Actually, I don't think it was that long ago. I'm really bad with time. It just keeps going by. But anyway, he passed away sometime in the last 6 or 7 years. And but I remember he used to tell me that he had this guitar that I think he used to call it Black Beauty, which is kind of weird because I don't know if that was a nickname he put on it. I can't ask him now, of course.
No.
But anyway, apparently the guitar was smashed up twice.
Wow.
And it kind of got fixed up, I guess, and they ended up getting broken again somehow. One of the stories is my grandfather was I should I want to express this, a very peaceful, sensible, almost never angry type man. But one day something happened with my uncle. I think my uncle I know he was a bit of a hard case, especially when he was a kid. He was rambunctious guy. I think my grandfather got up and ran after him because he ran out of the house or something like this. Anyway, he ended up, somehow my grandfather tripped up and fell down and smashed the guitar up.
Oh no!
So,
oh no!
I guess that was the last time that it was broken. And it went up in the attic for like, I don't even know, man, like 40, 50, I don't even know how many years, like an incredibly long time. And I asked my grandmother about it one time, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I still got it." She, luckily she's the type of person that hangs on to a lot of these sentimental things. Anyway, so I get the guitar from the attic, and I keep telling people it was basically like a load of splits, like you'd go out to start your fire with. Like it's in the shape of a guitar, but it's so far away from being playable that it's not even funny. Long story short, bring it to Chris Kiersey. Over the span of a year and a half, he fixed it. To sit here and try to tell you the process of that and what it took, I can't do it justice. Chris Kiersey can tell you. Mm-hmm. He would tell me about the things he did. He put a truss rod in it. There was no truss rod in that guitar. He painted it, but he had to like painstakingly shave off around. There's a yellow binding around the guitar, like he with a razor blade. Like the amount of hours that guy put into that guitar it blows my mind. He's a complete wizard, and I respect him tremendously for the amount of work he's done. And anyway, he brought it back to a playable state, and I have it. And I think that's the most amazing thing in the world. I'm very grateful to have that in my life because it's like I'm afraid to take that thing out of the house. It's not even worth that much money, but it's just, to me, is the coolest thing ever.
Yes.
And I'm, like I said, I'm just happy to have it. And I use it on the recording of Downtown as well. So it's this nice full circle sort of.
Yes, you use that in the music video as well.
Yeah.
You're just walking back in a downtown alley, playing that guitar to that song. And that must have been a full circle moment. Just play that same guitar that was in shatters, really.
100%. And I don't even know how old it is, man. It was like we're thinking that it's possible late 40s, but I don't know. It's really hard to. It's very difficult to accurately identify the age of it because I guess it comes down to they didn't really keep track of it back in the day like they do now. I think all we found was 4 numbers inside written with a pencil, I think Chris said. So
wow.
It's just, there's no way to really track. I don't know. It's old, man. It's it's at least early 50s, I think. It's old, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, of course, when you moved to St. John's, yourself, Brad, and Gary, along with Stephen Green, you ended up making up Fairgale. And then there was another member that you had before you settled with the classic lineup of 4 people.
Yeah, so, and still our friend, Andrew Small, we had him up at the 10-year show. It's a bit of a reunion. We were a 5-piece for a bit of time. And during those early days, myself, Brad, Gary, and Stephen were traveling around Newfoundland doing the cover band thing in just about every nook and cranny that we could find our way into. And so it naturally kind of just drifted in that direction. But Andrew's a great guy and great drummer. Yeah, so.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, one of those shows, let's fast forward to 2018 here for a minute, because the first time I can really recall that Nick Earle, I'm going to bring him back into the equation here, because this will lead into my next question here. Yeah. You brought out Nick Earle up for a gig one time, and he played a lead guitar on, I believe, on one of the tracks. I don't know what it was, but I had to be there to see it. But it was really one of the first times publicly out there to the public that Nick Earle played with you. And now, to my recollection, at least, that's the first time I found out about you two playing together. And ever since then, you become a member of the Reckless Hearts, and you trade rhythm and lead guitar, and you pretty much become a staple of the group. So, tell me a little bit about that very show and how that led into your current gig now with the Reckless Hearts.
Yeah, I guess I should say, before Nick was doing Nick Earle and the Reckless Hearts, he was a part of a duo, Earle and Coffin, that were going all over the country, and just 2 young guys just absolutely killing it with blues music on acoustic guitars. And they were both incredible musicians at that age. I guess they were only 14 or 15. They were already crazy good.
They were wicked.
Unreal. And we were part of building the show. Oftentimes we try to build a show as best we can. You want to create moments. So you can get up and play songs at people, I suppose, all night, but you want to do things that people remember and things that catch attention and change kind of the angle of the show, I guess, for lack of a better term. So one of those tactics that, of course, we didn't invent is the guest performer.
Oh no, it's normal. It's pretty much become, one of the oldest tricks in the book.
Yeah, 100%. But it always works. It's a flawless strategy. And if I go watch a show and they bring someone out, like, I'm excited about that too. So Nick was a guy who was a really great guitar player. So we just asked him to come out. I think we did it a couple times with Nick and traded guitar solos, and it was a lot of fun. And I guess over the years, around that time, after we became great friends, and we're after doing some stuff together, and ended up eventually, I guess Nick, Earle, and the Reckless Hearts was a 3-piece, a trio. And I guess it comes from when Nick was going, playing a lot of lead stuff. I think he probably wanted another guitar to fill up that space, And I completely get that. I've done things when I've been the only guitar player in the band, and it's a different dynamic for sure. So it was they were already great, like before I showed up.
Oh, but they're fantastic.
Yeah, so it's been fun to kind of be a part of that, and over the last few years, it started off with a gig in Woody Point, and I've been getting the call ever since, I suppose. And it's been a great fun. And Dan, Claire, and Nick, they're all great people, which I would never play with anyone if that wasn't first and foremost. We've been doing some really cool stuff in the last couple of years. We opened up for Third Eye Blind and Matt Mays at George Street Fest. We opened up for the Trues in Nova Scotia. Opened up for Nickelback here in St. John's.
That was a pinch me moment for you.
Yeah, it was. You always, for me, I've always wanted to play on those big stages and do that at the outdoor festival thing. Whatever it is about that, that's when I imagine I'm doing something really cool, it's at a big outdoor festival with that monolithic PA system just rattling your spine, So to get to do those things is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's an understatement.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Nickelback and you mentioned Third Eye Blind. You opened up for the Trues as well with the Reckless Hearts. That was, I believe, just before the ECMAs last year. And then most recently, you opened up for Alan Doyle at the brand new Jag Soundhouse. I haven't been there myself yet. I am going to be there May 7th during the ECMA kickoff party here in St. John's. And that must have been something special to play that show for Alan Doyle, who's one of Newfoundland and Labrador's finest performers of the new millennium. Now, I also want to mention a couple of bands you opened up for with Fairgale. Arkells, Sloan, Melissa Etheridge. Last year, you opened up for Greta Van Vleet at the Somo Festival in PEI, Charlottetown.
Yeah, so that was a really big one for us. That was one of those you said pinch me moments. Yeah, for sure. Like we got asked to play the main stage. I guess people see it on social media, but it's hard to probably understand how that feels to us or to me. You
got to be there.
Yeah, for sure. That's the biggest thing I've ever been a part of in terms of just massive venue, this massive outdoor rock festival, playing on this huge stage. We didn't even have chords long enough. We had to get a length of chords because we never played any. We're not prepared for it. And there's a catwalk. I don't know. It was just a crazy, surreal experience to be a part of. And that was wild. And I'm also a massive Greta Van Vleet fan, so to get asked to play that, I was like. What? Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, for sure.
You're left speechless.
Yeah, that was a wild experience. Yeah.
Out of those bands I just mentioned, those are some big names to open up for. Any dream performers that you would like to open up for?
Any dream performers? I'm assuming we're going to go with living artists.
Living, yes.
Yeah. Who am I listening to? I'm a big fan of the Killers are coming here in the summer. That's definitely a band that I know Fairgale would love to open for. For a solo artist, I'm a big Chris Stapleton fan. I love Chris Stapleton. I think if I got the phone call to open for Chris Stapleton, that'd be a pretty happy day for me.
And if it were Reckless Hearts, Anything there, like an artist?
If we're going completely crazy with it and nothing is off the table, let's open for Oasis. That's a good one.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Good choice there.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you want, we were talking about how again back to the whole Tom Petty thing, and I was thinking about other bands to make the comparison of doing that solo album, Let It Out. We talked about the Eagles and how when the Eagles broke up, they didn't like each other.
Yeah.
When we talk about two people that don't like each other, Liam and Noel Gallagher hated each other, but it seems like they're on good terms now to do this tour that they're doing later on in the summer.
Yeah, I have a bit of a theory about that. I mean, I don't really know. I guess nobody does. I think it's an absolutely wonderful marketing story that there's two brothers in a band who hate each other. I don't fully buy it, but maybe it's true. It definitely gets people talking. We're talking about it right now.
Oh, yes.
I love them because I love the music. But yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that, and it's always in my mind. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy to see those guys back together. And actually, funny enough, I'm with Nick and my girlfriend. We're traveling to Wembley Stadium to see Oasis in July. So that's going to be... That's
amazing.
Cool.
Hope you have a great time over there.
They didn't ask us to open for them though, so I'm a little little bummed out.
Maybe you could do it. Yeah,
but,
maybe. I mean, if the tour manager's there, you're looking for a great opening act from Newfoundland and Labrador.
There you go.
I think Earle and the Reckless Hearts are here. Fairgale is also great too. You always got to dream big too. I mean, you may not get it right away, but maybe 5-10 years down the line, who knows?
Yeah, man, I've done enough right now, even at the level we're at, to know that wild things can happen because they have happened. Things that you didn't really necessarily think were possible. You only really hoped maybe could ever happen. We've been very lucky and fortunate to be able to play on stages that a lot of people dream of playing, and we don't take that for granted.
No, absolutely. I mean, you got to live for the moment, live in the now, and not worry about the future too much.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. Now, you also received a Music and Award by yourself this past year, Rising Star of the Year. You actually shared that with Len O'Neill. Yeah, so he's also been on the show before with Brookfield Line, and he's also had his own band, Green and Gold. So to receive that as a solo artist for Rising Star of the Year for the work that you did for Let It Out, what did it feel like to you?
Yeah, I mean, it feels great, especially to share it with Len. Len's another guy I've got the pleasure of meeting in the last, I guess, year or so. We did a songwriter show together, had some good chats. He's a great guy, and I'm a fan of his music. Before I met him, and so to share it with him, is a great honor. I think he's really good, man, and I think people should check him out. I think his album is awesome.
Oh yeah, Out of You is a great album. Yeah. I played it a lot of the time on VOWR too.
Yeah, it's great, man. I'm a big fan for sure.
Yeah, and I believe we had this conversation last year when you and Steven were on the show together. You don't make music to win awards. You make music just to make sure that you like them, but also if you do like them, hopefully the fans will come to you and like it too.
I think satisfy yourself first. I know that may seem selfish, I guess, but I just don't think I think that's ultimately. Like I said, I don't think anyone's so individualistic that what impacts them and makes them feel emotions or whatever is not going to impact other people in the world. So if you can unlock that within yourself, I think there is an audience potentially for you. I mean, who knows, big or small. I mean, you don't get to really control that, but I just try to make the best music I can make and satisfy what feels good and suits my tastes.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Now, you're going to be having a very busy summer. You're going to be at the East Coast Music Awards for a few days before departing to Toronto. See what I did there? For Departure, formerly known as Canada Music Week. You're going to be playing a gig up there, too. And you also got the album release show for the Reckless Hearts coming up on the May 2-4 weekend at the Rock House. And Nick is going to be on my show sometime within the next month or so. So, Nick, if you're watching, we got to set a date for an interview, my friend. But any other future plans for Andrew Rodgers in the next few months?
Yeah, I guess I'll put this out there. I'm currently in the, I don't want to say early stages, but I guess the mid stages of booking an Alberta, BC tour in September, late August into September. So I don't have a lot to say besides that. But if you live in BC or Alberta, between Edmonton and Vancouver / the Sunshine Coast, I'm going to be rolling through in August, September for about a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of prep. I'm doing, music is a great way to travel. I think is what this comes down to.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to get to one of your songs from Let It Out in a moment. But for people who want to find out more about Andrew Rodgers, whether it be through your solo work, through The Reckless Hearts, through Fairgale, anything Andrew Rodgers, where can they go when it comes to, say, a website and socials?
Yeah, I mean, you can check out my website. It's andrewrodgersmusic.com. There's a D in Rodgers. Always gets left out, so make sure you put that in there. But yeah, it's Instagram, Facebook, all that is at Andrew Rodgers Music. Not that hard to find, I don't think. So yeah, check me out.
Well, Andrew, this has been an absolute pleasure to get you on for a second time in the span of a year or so. And congratulations on all your success with your bands, Fairgale and the Reckless Hearts, and also your work as a solo artist. Very proud of how far you've come since our very first interview that we did back in 2015, where you and Steven and I were at Coffee Matters doing an interview for your first Fairgale album, On the Light, at the Muse.
Yeah, that was really early on. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And that's how it started. This is how it's going now. Andrew, thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you very much, Zach. I appreciate it.